Hi everyone, welcome. For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Sharon from Angelics-Speak.com and I channel archangels. Today Michael tells me he's going to answer a question of someone who follows this channel. He said he was told in a reading that his mission in this lifetime was to merge his divine masculine and divine feminine. And he wanted to know what this meant. So let's begin. Greetings, everyone. This is Michael. We welcome you as well. So the topic is the divine feminine and the divine masculine. Now, this is a bit of an overused topic nowadays, but it does have relevance on the spiritual path. And at some point, your masculine and feminine qualities do blend and even out. This is an integration of a number of lessons your soul has been assimilating. For you see, when the soul expresses itself in your reality, it can either take on male or female. However, a soul does not have those qualities. There is no sexual orientation, there is no sex for a soul. So it takes on this illusion of separateness, dividing a portion of itself either into the qualities of a more masculine entity or the qualities of a more feminine entity. Now, of course, remember, this is a dream. You are dreaming as a soul this reality. The soul, while it is experiencing it, believes it to be real. But when that particular lesson is over and it is absorbed, it again realizes it is not. So, moving on. Let us first eliminate the word divine. Because the divine is not masculine or feminine, it is one. All qualities are within it. There is a higher level we will address in a few minutes, but first let's start with the traditional descriptions of qualities of masculine and feminine in your experience of reality. Masculine energy is more driven, more goal-oriented, more outward focused, while the feminine entity or energy is more receptive, more intuitive, more emotional, less focused on goals. Now, of course, every single one of you have some masculine and some feminine energy, but the proportions are different in each expression by your soul. So sometimes you may come and have an experience of being a very feminine being, perhaps intuitive, psychic even, nurturing, receptive, but not very goal-oriented or driven, and very emotional. Other times, you may come as a warrior, totally outward driven, ferocious, strong of will, strong in power, very little soft emotions, only strong, forceful, anger, power, rage. Very masculine oriented energies. Now again, just because you came in as a male in this life that you are dreaming, it does not mean that you do not have also feminine qualities. As your energies move higher, the qualities of masculine, that outer drivenness, goal-oriented, pressured, blends with the receptive, the softer, the more surrendered, the more loving energies of the feminine. And they come slowly into balance. Each of you, over time, as your soul becomes more ready to experience higher levels of awareness within its outpicturings, its expressions, each of you will have incorporated both the masculine and feminine energies into this one expression of you. So you can be soft and loving one moment and goal-oriented and pressured the next. You can be very psychic, intuitive, receptive one moment and forceful, powerful in the world the next. And in fact, when these energies are fully blended and balanced, both can happen simultaneously, and do in many of you. This is, again, a natural expression of the evolution of you spiritually. It happens with everyone. Think of it like a baby walking, developing psychic abilities, developing a more integrated being, whether it's masculine and feminine, spiritual and mundane. All of the pairs of opposites begin to integrate, and there is less duality. For of course, masculine and feminine are again expressions of this duality in your world. That's all it is. It's divisions where on higher dimensions there are none. Now, for those of us who live in higher planes, there is no sexuality. There's no need to integrate masculine and feminine because they're irrelevant. Angels, for example, have no sexual orientation. Now, in your literature about archangels, since they are often studied more than angels, there are discussions about coupling between archangels that are permanent bonds between two archangels. Again, this is not a masculine and feminine bonding. If you have the experience of seeing that pair, they may in fact take on a form that they enjoy, that looks more masculine or more feminine. For example, I, as Michael, often present myself in a traditional way. I have a chest plate, I have a sword. Now my hair may change, my eyes may change, but in general, you can recognize it as Michael. That's not how I exist in actuality. But when we touch the consciousness of you, we will take on a form that is more human-like, so that it is easier for all of you to relate to us. And if we take on the same form each time, it is easier for each of you who are not quite as psychically bent to intuit our personalities. It's easier for each of you to identify who you're speaking with. So again, sexuality, male, female, that's part of duality. It is not part of our dimensions. And it's not part of most higher dimensions. Union at higher dimensions is union within, with that source quality within our being. And for us, also, a blending of energies with source outwardly. Okay, so that is the more mundane, masculine and feminine energy balancing. In your world, at a higher level, it's a little more esoteric now, folks. Some of you may be aware of subtle energy patterns within your subtle forms. Sometimes they are called nadis. There are channels of energy within your being. And these energies normally work at a certain level. They're quiet. They flare with strong emotions, strong intentions, but generally they're fairly quiet. And a lot of the energy centers and nadis, as we call them, these little tiny vortexes of energy, are closed. Now again, this only occurs in your dreamlike reality, okay? We do not perceive these, but this is part of your own understanding and experience. And it is a valid experience, so we will address it here. As you begin to move higher in your awareness, there is a subtle energy within that activates. Again, this is very similar to a baby beginning to walk, beginning to stand, beginning to manipulate objects in a different way and become more inquisitive. It's very much a parallel. So this latent energy within you, as you begin to wake up, is activated. And as it is activated, it begins to work on opening some of these subtle channels, which allow your subtle energy to move more efficiently. This is the energy that light travels on. And one of the big goals in sending all of this light to all of you is to do exactly this, to awaken that energy. Once it is awakened, you have many experiences. But this is actually awakening a more divine masculine and feminine energy. For there are channels on either side of the main channel within your subtle being. And some of your literature calls one more masculine and one more feminine. As these begin to really move, they blend together to move through a central channel. This is part of your subtle being's physiology, so to speak. And as this occurs, amazing things can happen. You may have many experiences which lead to amazing openings and awakenings within your being. It can also activate movements, sensations of heat and cold. All kinds of things can happen, which I'm not even going to go into. You can read about it. However, this is what we would call the blending of the divine masculine and feminine. This merging of these two energies into one tremendous energy which awakens you and has the goal of fully removing you from this cycle of life. Birth, death, birth, death. Now, this is a metaphor for the opening that's happening within your soul. Your soul is always pure. It is untouched by the experiences that it collects. But as we've spoken of before, your soul is collecting experiences, and in doing so, it is projecting outward a tiny portion of itself in a dream to experience a certain kind of reality. And in that reality, it's learning about how the divine interacts with the more mundane energy. This happens over and over again in what each of you call lifetimes. However, in fact, they are simply dreamlike projections of the soul. And you are both that dreamlike projection and your own soul. That is you. As the soul becomes more full, fuller and fuller and fuller of these experiences, they begin to integrate. And it begins to incorporate all of them into a being that is much fuller when it expresses it. Much more balanced, much wiser, much more pure. Because as that being awakens more to who it is and more to a higher reality, much of its knowledge and wisdom, the knowledge and wisdom that your soul has collected, flows into that being. Memories of other lifetimes, awareness of knowledge, understandings that it has developed during these other projections by the soul, flow into this particular being. And the soul then projects a much higher being, a much more integrated being, a very balanced being, who then evolves in this projection much more fully than any other projection has done. Because it now holds, either unconsciously or sometimes consciously, great wisdom and knowledge from the soul's wisdom and knowledge. So you, as that projection, have access over time to all of the knowledge and wisdom that you as a soul has collected in this huge variety of expressions of itself. This is when some of you would categorize it as a blending of the divine masculine and feminine. They are very balanced. And often, at this point, they are also asexual. There's no more interest, really, in a sexual activity or emerging with someone else. They're more interested in merging with the light, with Source, with the highest. Sometimes this doesn't occur until your physiological hormones have quieted down quite a bit. Sometimes it even occurs at a very young age and maintains. So, this describes, hopefully, the balancing of the masculine and feminine from the most mundane to the highest, in which there is none. There is no masculine and feminine. This channel has often commented on how, on one level, all of the archangels feel the same, and yet each one has a different personality or nature or way of expressing themselves. This is because the higher you go in your awareness, the more the experience of union is the predominant experience. And for us as archangels, we are constantly aware of our oneness with each other. We know each other's thoughts. We hear instantly whatever needs to be addressed. Yet we retain some separateness for the fun of it. We have different personalities, but our energy is quite similar because of that union. And that is the true union, not the union of masculine and feminine, the union of oneness. Because truly everything is just one. One light, one consciousness. It's all one. But each time some densification occurs, there is a veiling of that oneness and a slight experience of duality. When more densification occurs, more duality occurs. That's one of the qualities of densification of consciousness. So each of your goals is to raise your own awareness, your own consciousness. You are being assisted by this continual now influx of light. But you can help it by focusing on the highest truths, opening your heart and going within. Trust the process. If your particular lesson in this soul expression that you're in is to merge your feminine and masculine qualities, it will happen. You don't need to do anything except be attentive. Be attentive to the lessons the world around you is teaching you. Patience, tolerance, quietude. The ability to wait until the right time. So if you learn those qualities, you are automatically integrating your masculine and feminine. Go within. Each of you learn to become quiet within your own being. Learn to become very centered. Maintain your highest focus. Maintain and honor the divine light that exists within you and within everything around you. Allow your awareness to move back to who you truly are. We all offer you our love, our blessings, and light. I am Archangel Michael.